Welcome in. This is a production of Voice in the Kingdom Ministries and Victory 91.5. And today I have the privilege to introduce a whole bunch of guys at the same time. And I'm going to have some help with that from the man himself, Gable Price and Friends. Hello, guys.
What's up, man? How's it going?
Hello.
It's going. This is awesome,
Hey,
man. I'm so glad we got the whole band together because, as we're getting back into this season of having in-person concerts again, I remember when I used to get to go to concerts and there'd be the lead guy throughout the concert. Every now and then, if somebody had a solo or something, he'd say, "This is so-and-so from the band." Or there'd be that one time in the band where he'd say, "Here's all our guys and we're going to move on." So I thought we should start with that. So Gable, introduce your band for a minute for those that are just getting ready to learn who Gable Price and Friends is.
Sweet. Well, yeah. So we are a band of 5 guys, and I'm gonna start with Mr. Daniel Vargas. He's over on the drum set. You can take a look down at Daniel.
Yeah.
And then over on electric guitar, one of the electric guitars, we got 2 electric guitar players. We have Adam Elizaraz.
Oh, wow. Yes, there he is. Hello, Adam.
What's up? Got some hair in my
Hailing
face,
from the staircase of a coffee shop. And then on the other electric guitar, we have Mr. Detroit, Michigan himself, Cam Pablo.
Cam, what's up?
Cam.
Hello.
And then the king of Georgia, we got Mr. David Funk.
Yes, David Funk.
Yes.
So
son of
Gable,
Hometown hero.
Gable, you had a hand in writing Homecoming, but it's Dave that gets the homecoming this time.
It is. I didn't get to go to homecoming. I was
that's
homeschooled, so.
Yeah, all right. Well, this is awesome. So much, such a pleasure to have you guys. So, Gable, as we get this thing started, you just mentioned homeschool because you kind of had the trifecta or the Holy Trinity, as you have called it in past interviews. You were homeschooled. You worked at Chick-fil-A. And then you went off to ministry school. So
I did.
But then when you got to ministry school, you kind of had your Michael Jordan moment. And so I'm going to explain that for people and I'm going to let you dive in. So Michael Jordan got cut from his varsity high school team. And then that launched him into the competitive guy that he is, right? So you had this moment in ministry school that's what it made me think of because you learned so much from the experience and the opportunity to kind of check yourself a little bit. So let's tell people, what is that Michael Jordan moment for you that you didn't quite make the varsity team that you expected at ministry school?
Yeah, I mean, so for me, I grew up a worship pastor's kid. My dad was pastored in the Vineyard Church for about 10 years of my life, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. But I was always leading worship with him, singing songs. And so when I was moving out to Reading, it kind of seemed like the natural progression. It was a big part of my personality was, music was especially in church. And so, so I mean, we were driving out to Reading in my van. Me and my dad were driving it, and we stopped in Kansas City. And I will never forget it because I woke up in the middle of the night because I knew that the callback lists were coming through email for worship teams on that day. And so I had sent in a video audition for electric guitar and a video audition for worship leading. And what happened was I checked my email. There's 2 emails, worship leader callbacks and instrumentalist callbacks. And so I woke up in the middle of the night. I go to the bathroom to check it because everyone's asleep in the hotel. And I look at, I can't remember which one I looked at first, but I think I looked at instrumentalists. And it was like, had a bunch of names. The funny thing is on that instrumentalist list is Adam, is Cam, and is Daniel. And you know who's not on that list is me. And I'm like, okay. And so I was like, oh man.
Oh, we just lost Gable in the middle of his instrumentalist story. What happened there? He got so excited that he didn't make the list that he canceled out.
Oh no!
I'm sure he gets for making fun of my connection.
I know, right? We'll get him back in just a second. So hey, we'll let Adam or Cam, whichever wants to chime in there about making the list, and then we'll let Gable finish that part of the story here in a minute. Adam, since you're up there, why don't you talk about making that list at ministry school when you guys were there together?
It was really surprising because there's a lot of people that try out, and I didn't expect to make it, but I did. And it's pretty cool. It's a cool experience, and I'm obviously met everyone that I'm in the band because of that.
Right.
And yeah,
That's powerful stuff,
if
man.
I
And then
hadn't,
go ahead.
what's up?
Go
If I
ahead.
hadn't made it, I don't know what I would have done. So
Well, we'll hear from
look at
We'll
God.
hear from Gable to get that perspective in a minute. So Cam, what about you, man? Making the list right there at the beginning of ministry school and getting the call back that you wanted.
Yeah, our school year was hefty with incredible musicians. Like, I think our year was stacked with like really good guitarists. So it definitely was like, oh my gosh, like who's gonna get in? Like who is it? And then it just turned out to be Adam, Cam, and I didn't mean to talk in third person, but just like a few other guitarists. But it was awesome. Like I
Yeah.
auditioned with Daniel, and it's been like that for the 3 years that
Yeah.
we auditioned with each other. And like the next 2 years, it was just like they would call up someone else, and I was just like, oh, I don't know this person that I'm auditioning with, and I don't think they're good. And then they're like, well, they're not here, so Daniel Vargas with Cam. I'm just like, oh, thank God. Like, so, but yeah,
Wow.
our year was stacked with awesome
Yeah.
musicians.
Well, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Gable didn't make that list, as he was telling
I
us a
did
moment
not.
ago.
Yeah. And I'm back. Sorry, guys.
Yes.
I have no idea what just happened to my computer.
Well, it works. Well, I'm glad you had a backup, man. So
Yes.
we heard that these guys made the list. You didn't, and then it really forced you into a situation that you had to look at some things differently anyway, right? So it was one of those things.
It was one of those things. And, I checked that list and I was like, I'm going to check the other list. I bet I'm on that one. Wasn't on that one.
And that was the vocalist list, right?
The vocalist list.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was probably naive and a little bit of arrogance, but I mean, I was 19. And so it was all I'd ever really known. So it's like natural progression. I'm not going to real school. And so I better get to play some music, And so, you get rejected for that. And it was all I'd ever known. So I kind of had to look at things a little bit differently. And it felt like every day was a different journey of just, not getting to do the thing that I've always known myself as, always known my relationship with God as was through music, always known. And it was just like, kind of had to, take a look at the, when the kids move out for college and, you had to take a look at the empty nest. And I'm like, man, it's weird that, I hadn't really talked to God outside of, being good at something. Being good at
outside
worship,
of the ministry thing, right? Yeah, the box that we put ourselves in. Yeah,
the boxes humans made out on Spotify, iTunes, and Apple, not Apple Music. But yeah, man, that was kind of the moment. And and somehow we all became friends through all that. I met Daniel one of my first days in Reading.
Yeah.
My Adam actually knew my little brother. My little brother knew who Adam was through a Facebook community group of guitar players, and he was like, "There's this guy named Adam. I don't know how to say his last name, but and so I met Adam, and then I didn't meet Dave for a whole another year. Met Cam through just mutual friends and stuff like that. So it all just kind of came together.
Yeah.
Band didn't start until the next year though.
Yeah, so let's talk about that real quick. I know you probably joke about this a lot, even now with some of the notoriety coming. It's still when somebody says Gable Price and Friends, like, wait, who? Because I've heard you made that joke. So, but now that you've got this thing going and you're starting to hear some people talk about you guys, and I love that there's this story of that moment before you became the band that came, that God ordained this thing. So I'm going to tell a quick story. Myself, one time I had the opportunity when I was in media school at Asbury in Kentucky. I was supposed to go to the Olympics. I got chosen to go, but I couldn't afford it. So I got stuck home while everybody else, all my friends, got to go participate at the Olympics to do the broadcasting thing, this whole thing that I've been working toward. But I got to be part of a spontaneous revival that led to some things for me that I didn't expect. And so you guys kind of had that moment, right? You were looking forward to Mission Week, and then it didn't come together, but then all of a sudden all these guys are in town to play. So who wants to take off and tell that story about how you guys got together for that first opportunity to record?
I mean, Adam, I feel like you have a unique perspective of you kind of, we talked about it in the coffee shop before everything. So you can kind of take that if you want to.
Yeah, sure. So Gable, Daniel, and I we couldn't afford to go on like mission trips for a school,
Mhm.
so we were kind of stuck at home. And then Gable showed me a song, or part of a song that he had written. It was a bridge from Touch Your Road, which is from our first EP.
Yeah. I think
And
the
I was like,
actual
oh, this
quote
is
is that this song doesn't suck, right? Like that's
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, I don't know if I don't remember saying that, but maybe. For story's sake, we'll say I said that. So yeah, I was like, this doesn't suck. And then I was like, we should do something. Like we're here for like a week. No one's in town. Like we got free time. Like let's just like record something and see what happens.
yeah.
Because Gable was going to go back home after that year of school, so it was like something to commemorate our time together and his time in Reading. So yeah, we made that little EP because we couldn't afford to go on mission trips.
Wow.
So,
we couldn't afford to fundraise for mission trips, but we can make a GoFundMe to make an EP.
yeah,
That's
That-
showbiz, baby.
priorities.
What a story. What a story. Well, so it did come together. You got to record and now you're a couple albums deep now, but it was that one or another one that you guys kind of came to the realization of now we need a little bit faster songs if we're going to actually do
Yeah.
these in person, right? So talk a little bit about how that came together and as you're starting to work through your process of writing songs too.
Yeah, no, I mean, so we made our whole first EP. We were very deep into ministry school world. And then at one point during our next year, we were like, we need another song. And so we wrote this next song. And then we asked Dave to play some keys on it because we knew Dave was this really good keys player, the man from Georgia. And so we work on this song and we're like, man, we want to play this live. And so we go and we play a live show. We invite Cam because we're like, Adam played a lot of guitar parts on this song. So we need a second guy to be able to riff it. And so, so we started playing that and the show went great because it was Reading and all of our friends were there. So, you can sneeze in Reading and your friends are there and they're like trying to catch it, like, good job. But so basically we have a show the next fall. It was our next show. It was in Sacramento, but I had spent the whole summer traveling with this like indie rock band and the shows were so fun and the songs were so fun, but it was a total grind. You're waking up early, getting in the van, traveling super far to play a set and sound systems busted and all that stuff. Everything is happening. And I just kind of realized I was like, man, music is really hard to do. Like it's fun, but it's a total grind. And what the singer of that band told me is he said, hey, because I just told him a little bit of my process. I was like, I love making this music, but the music I'm writing, I don't like playing as much as I like playing this. And he told me, he said, hey, music is really, really hard to make a living and it's not worth it unless you're doing exactly what you want to do.
Yeah.
And so we came back to Sacramento. We played that show in Sacramento. And I remember just with Daniel, we just start, we would look at each other and it's just this look during the show of, I am so bored.
Never what you're going for there.
No, never what you're going for because this was like a concert. We're opening for another band. The songs that will work really, really well in church aren't necessarily the ones that are going to make you jump up and down sweaty in a venue next to a bunch of strangers. Yeah. And so we're playing all these we're like jumping up and down the stage, but our songs are halftime. And so it's just like bunk, and we're all like this. And I'm like, man, we really can't move to this. And so, I thought of that and I said, it is, music is way too hard to do the type of music you don't want to make. And so I think it was like the next week, 2 weeks later, we started working on Awestruck Revival.
Yeah.
Which is a very fast, probably still to this day, even with some of our newer, faster songs, like it's probably one of the most fun songs to play live. And so we set off on the mission to write songs that we liked playing more.
Yeah. And you found your sound there, huh?
We did. That song was such a curveball to what we were used to that we were just lucky, Yeah. I had started Awestruck Revival when I was 16 and it sat in my Dropbox. and it was a much different song, a lot more pessimistic of my soul's on fire, but I doubt it will stay. And so we start rewriting it, and it was a lot of my process during that time with the Lord, just like, I have gotten really, really pessimistic about everything. And so I'm, trying to rewrite it more of like a self declaration type song of like, my soul, like, if your soul's on fire, don't doubt it will stay. Just of like this, it ain't no problem with
well,
thinking,
and for you during that time, it was that journey of discovering your faith, not just the faith from your father, or just working at Chick-fil-A or any other trifecta,
Christian chicken,
right?
man.
Yeah. So for you, this ministry school and not making the varsity squad, as we pointed out earlier, like
I love that.
It's what hit me, man. So I had to bring it out. And I know you guys have some sports influences too that we'll talk about later. But it's a thing that. Finding ourselves, I guess the kids would call it today deconstruction in what they're talking about, but there is true introspection when you're really trying to figure out what you believe. And you had that moment at ministry school, of all places, thank the Lord, to really discover who you were. And I think that really shines in your music now as well, that time that you had to take that year and figure that out.
Yeah, I'm really thankful that it happened the way it happened. I feel like the falling apart and kind of building back together was a pretty quick process. But when you're 20, as how old I think I was 21. Everything every day feels like a lifetime,
right?
And so I think a lot of my life, in the last year, I've just been looking at it and just being like, wow, I am probably the luckiest person in the world. We get to play music we love, and we get to be in a position that not a lot of people get to do, but also
Very
at the
true.
same time of for me, I, like a lot of people, have that moment where they're like, what do I believe? What do I actually believe right now? I felt like I got really lucky in the fact that it was in the place I was in, with the pastoral covering I had, with the exact right people. Even while I was going through it, that summer, I was with someone who had just recently got over something like that, like a year ago.
Wow.
And so, I like to think that I'm probably the luckiest person alive in that way of, I can't speak too much to the deconstruction, reconstruction, because I feel like I never had to struggle the way that a lot of people have. It happened really fast with a lot of people who really cared about me. And so I feel pretty lucky about that.
And you got to find the and friends to your band.
Yeah, 100%.
So Dave, let's pull you in for a second. You got to be kind of the part of finding the sound, and the aftermath of that. And so maybe talk a little bit about what your thoughts were as you get in with this group and figure out where this is going, and like, hey, I'm going to do this instead of what I came to Reading to do. So what kind of talk about that? Because I know you do a lot with a lot of worship leaders, a lot of worship teams, and you chose to hang out with Gable Price and Friends out of those moments. So give us your perspective there.
Yes, I did choose to hang out with Gable Price and Friends, and it's the best. It's the best. I feel super lucky as well. I love that Gable said that, because I think, and this is a bit of a tangent, but it just made me think that we're in a place of the world where I feel like there's a lot of good things happening all the time. There's a lot of opportunities happening for us and other people in our community, that it's easy to get really like kind of desensitized to that. And so just even remembering, like, man, there's like, I was talking with my wife this morning about just some like decisions like we're facing, and it was just like, we're choosing between all these great things. Like, it's like we could be choosing between a lot of worse things, but for me at the time, just to get back to your question, like, honestly, Gable reached out to me in my second year, my third year of ministry school, and their second year, right?
Was this when we met up for the first time for you to teach
for
me
Magnet
Ableton?
Love? No. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So me and Gable, I
love how college memories work like that.
Yeah.
That's
they're blurry, you know.
I also feel lucky that
Um,
we're a part of the population that can remember our college memories.
Well,
And
that
so-
helps.
Fair enough. Yeah. You know, college, ministry school, you know. But yeah, so I came to BSSM a year before Cam and Gable and Daniel and Adam. So I was the year ahead of them. So when they were in their first year, I was in my second year. And I think that's when I first met Gable. Or around that time, because yeah, I gave him some lesson in this like this music software. But in the next year, when they were in second year and I was in my third year, is when Gable reached out to me to play keys on Magnetic Love, which is the second release of the band. So there was the Reading EP, and then Magnetic Love was the first single after that. And I remember hearing it, and Adam actually came over to my house while I was like programming the keys and stuff for it, just to kind of help me, you know, because I wasn't in the band. I was just kind of like, yeah, I'll play keys on your song kind of thing. And so, but then I don't know. It's like, it's kind of what Gable said too. It's like you're always searching for in this kind of world, this business, if you will. You're always searching for the thing that's giving you life, you know.
Yeah.
Because like it's easy to you know just take a gig and you know it's like yeah I played on this song and it's like whatever you know, but this is I don't know, it's like something about this song and about you know Gable is a very magnetic personality and you know and so getting to know even him and Adam and Daniel and then hearing this song I was like oh my god this is awesome you know. And so I think it was just one of those moments for me of like you know maybe I could have been investing more into other things, but I was like, this is awesome. I feel like this is like these types of songs, these types of, you know, writers and musicians, like
Yeah.
they're not like they don't just come along every month, you know? Like
Right.
I could feel like, you know, that this was like a special thing happening. And so
Yeah.
I kind of, you know, it kind of just we kind of trickled into this conversation of like, oh, well, do I want to be a part of the band, you know? Because we worked on Magnetic Love, and then Gable was talking about our first show was the release show for Magnetic Love in the backyard of the house that Gable later parked his van at. You know, a lot of connections there. And it was what's funny is it was I think it was on a Friday night or something, but there was a conference happening at our church. And one of the campuses for our church, it was like just up the street.
It's right there.
And
Yeah.
so they called the cops on us because we were being too loud in the backyard while they're having like their church conference.
Oh man.
And so it was after that show, like it was awesome. Like that I had so much fun. And I was like, this is awesome. Like I wanna do this, you know. And so I think I don't know. I don't really remember how exactly it happened, but Gable I think was kind of like, you know, do you wanna like be a part of the band? And I was like, sure. And we started talking, and that's when we kind of started talking about our first full length album and
Yeah.
stuff.
Check
And
yes
so,
or no. Do you want to be
yeah,
in the
kind of
band?
just went from there.
Yeah.
Yes, he definitely passed me a note. There's some hearts on it.
Yeah. So Daniel, you're the only one that hasn't gotten to share anything yet. So I want to give you an opportunity to give some perspective here. What I kind of want to ask is, as people hear that you guys were involved with Bethel and everything that happens there, but this band is not the this is Bethel. So as the sound evolves and it's not that classic worship Bethel sound, talk about what Gable Price and Friends is to you and what people should really be feeling in as they experience what you guys are doing and what the Lord has given you.
Yeah, dang, that's huge. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things that we're going for. It's like we want it to be us, and we are in an environment where we were like heavily influenced at the beginning to do something that was part of us so much. But we're like, okay, we want to do something that is our own, while still like we love Bethel. We are all to a certain degree like part of
course,
worship teams and traveling and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, it's a really big thing to us to be authentic and to steward what the Lord is doing in our own personal lives and to steward what happens. I really love something that a musician friend told me one time is like, every single set that you play is like there's going to be something different, even if it's the same people. Like the air is going to be different, like the way that it hits the strings is going to be different, like the sounds are going to be different, even if it's all the same things. And we kind of want to
Yeah.
steward that in our own lives. Like it's going to be a different thing, even if it's all of us. But we don't
Amen.
want to do what's been happening. We want to do what's happening in our lives and what we
Yeah.
want to see. So
That's
yeah,
great.
if that makes any sense. So
Yes, absolutely. I think the tagline for Gable Price and Friend now is doing a different thing. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think that's
Yeah, totally.
so. Gable, that'll lead us into talking about the process of writing songs. So you go
Yeah.
from writing kind of on your own, doing your thing, and now you've got and friends
Yeah.
to do this process. So maybe give us a glimpse of what the process is as you guys start to go through writing a new song or what the Lord's downloading in one of you, and it
Yeah.
becomes a Gable Price and Friends song.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, so the process has changed a lot since we started.
Yeah.
I feel like early on, a lot of it was just kind of me writing songs and then bringing it to the band, and we kind of figured it out from there. With Fraction Heart, it was the first time we kind of live figured things out, and that was a little bit more of a collaborative process. And then once we get to like If I'm Being Honest, the EP, it becomes a lot more collaborative. You know, like songs with like Someday started musically. We started with a musical idea on that one, which I think was the first song that we started with a musical idea versus that and Heretic were the two songs that we started with a musical idea versus a lyrical idea, a chorus verse, whatever. So it's always evolving and always moving on is our songwriting process. So with our upcoming projects we're working on, it's been a lot more collaborative. I've been very open. Everyone who wants to write in the band is welcome in my room any day, kind of thing. And so me and Adam have written a lot of the songs together. Me and Dave have worked on some of the stuff. Daniel, we worked on a song. Then we'll get together as a band, and Cam, always brings ideas. We always bring ideas for the songs and the ideas.
Yeah.
So, right now it's mostly just like, I have the unique season of life where music is what I do.
Yeah.
And I was able to stop doing my my glass sales job in November.
All right.
And so I've just been focusing on writing an album, trying to get as many possible songs as we can, and then narrowing it down to the perfect bunch is what it's looked like.
So the first thing when I heard Gable Price and Friends, the first thing I thought of was like, did Switchfoot just rebrand? Like this is really good because the lyrics are so they make you think, but you're having fun, you're worshiping, and you're like, man, this is something right here. And so that's one of your influences, right?
Yeah, I love Switchfoot. We've always loved Switchfoot, and Switchfoot, Reliant K. I feel like I was lucky enough that my dad was a songwriter.
Oh yeah.
And so a lot of the music we were listening to and he was showing me was music with great songwriters.
Yeah.
And so and just family friends were songwriters and stuff like that. And so it feels like everyone's like, how did you learn to write those lyrics? I'm like, well, it's all I ever listened to. I never really listened to like a mindlessly written song.
Right.
It was always these songs that every lyric has to have at least 3 ways it could go. 3, 4, 5, like you could, you have no idea what it actually means, but it's cool.
But it's cool. Yes.
And so yeah, Switchfoot was a huge influence for
Awesome.
I think a lot of us. And
well, that's the vibe. That's the vibe I got when I first started getting to listen to you guys. So does anybody else want to chime in on influences or process of, as a band, how you come together and write a song before we jump into a few songs specifically? So everybody's just hanging out.
I don't think Cam has spoken. If Cam wants to go.
Oh, let's go, Cam. There he is.
Guys, I'm back on my phone now because I don't have a charger. But influences, Switchfoot is definitely one of them, but we are very similar stuff, bands that we like to listen to. I know Dan and I have been caught up in the whole Foo Fighters world right now because they're passing away. So I've been listening to them the past week. But for Adam, it's like Kings of Leon, Dave, Manchester Orchestra, same thing, Kings of Leon, all those guys. And we all get together and either even like from a garage to an actual studio to like anywhere. It's kind of like wherever we can play together is when we can write and
Amen.
just
Amen.
create ideas. It's like because we've been through different places, shapes and forms. Like we don't care like how bad, like we don't need like inner monitors right away to write, but we just like if we have an idea, we'll do it
Yeah,
and think about it and
that's
make
good.
it into something cool. So but at least the past year we've been getting together as a band in a studio in a room together and just bringing ideas and just pulling off of that. And then Gable will have an idea, usually with a song, and then we'll just like put our own flavor on the songs. And yeah, just like Gable
Yeah.
trusts our musicianship and just us as people. So he's open to a lot of ideas and anything like, oh, don't do this, or like we could try it. And there's a lot of it might work, there's a lot of it might not work, and then there's like, yeah, it works. So yeah, there's a lot of rough drafts of everything, but usually it's kind
Yeah.
of like we're not too stingy on like making things like perfect, which
Oh,
to
yeah,
an
that's
extent,
good.
yeah, we want it to be amazing and great, but like
Of
we're
course.
not very like annoying about it, if you know what I mean.
Well, it's
So
always nice in a
yeah,
band to not be annoying. Yes, very,
yeah.
very
I
true.
mean, yeah, right away. I mean, we're friends first, so it's kind of just like
Yeah.
we're not too offended. So
Yeah, well, that's great. One of the things that I noticed, and Gable, if you want to take the lead on this one, and then anybody else can chime in, your lyrics are beyond that, Christianese, if that, if that's a
Yeah.
word. Like you guys, you find ways to bring concepts to the surface in a song to make people think, but it's not the regular experience that you would do from
Hmm.
CCM, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what you're going for.
Totally. I mean, I think what we always say from the beginning has just kind of been like, we're not necessarily trying to do the same thing, but with more,
Mhm.
more volume. We're going to sing about the things we care about, and the things that move us, and kind of have like a firm belief of I'm not going to finish a song if it doesn't move me.
Right.
And so whether it's about life, whether it's about like a heretic song,
Mhm.
a song like Heretic, not a song for heretics. And basically, yeah, I think if it doesn't mean something to me, I have a hard time finishing it.
Yeah.
And so going outside of the norm is kind of the only thing I feel like we've known how to do.
Right. Well,
N-
that takes me right into "I Need You," okay? Because that song has some stuff in there
yeah.
that the transparency of, ministry life and things like that. Like, I love, you start out, "I broke my wrist punching through a wall in the parsonage."
Hmm.
Like, saying that out loud, not only to somebody, but in a song that a lot of people are gonna listen to. And of course, where's the line? Up here it is. "Have some guts, kid. This is ministry."
Hmm.
So that grabs me just because I've lived ministry most of my life, and that
Yeah.
resonates heavily with me. But the transparency that this song comes with, I think, is a lot about who you guys are.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, it really feels like, I mean, I've only ever known church, and I remember being 13, not even in high school yet, and they're like, "Hey, you're the high school worship leader now." And so it's just kind of this thing of like you get put into places which grows you, but at the same time, it kind of I learned really quickly that, or I kind of developed this belief that I couldn't show weakness, and
Yeah,
I couldn't be a middle school, I couldn't be a freshman in high school because I was supposed to be leading the seniors,
yeah,
and so with a lot of that, came uh, a a desire to hide, a habit of hiding.
yeah.
You can't show too much,
Hmm.
you can break your wrist basically punching through the wall. You can basically work yourself to death, hide until you're, freaking out just so people don't see you,
Yeah. Wow.
as long as they don't know that there's anything going on. And that's kind of, you know, I learned a lot from being in leadership from a young age, but I also, learned a lot of bad habits.
Mm,
You kind of become like it's just, if you're at a small church and you're young and you can sing, you kind of become the golden child.
yeah.
Oh, they're next. You're gonna be famous. You're gonna change the world. And when you hear from a young age, you're going to change the world. What I kind of up is like, well, if I want to change the world, they can't know that blah, 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 XYZ, you know?
Right.
You know, they can't know that I don't know about this, or, you know, I missed my Bible reading, you know, stuff like that. Just like simple stuff that begins to start a habit of hiding.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of times what I would tell myself is that last verse, and in an unhealthy way of, hey, you just got to toughen up. It's how it is.
Yeah.
You can't feel, just have some guts, get over it. It's what everyone does. And then you start to meet people and you're like, wow, you are way more vulnerable, open, honest than I thought it would be at the top, you know, quotation marks type thing. And it's just like, you know, hopefully, you know, if anyone can get anything about that song, it's just like, you know, you can be as perfect as you want, and you can show that you're perfect. But as soon as that gas leak hits that open flame,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, that's right.
And if you keep telling yourself to have guts and toughen up, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna explode somehow. You're gonna punch through the wall somehow.
That's right. Does anybody else want to chime in on this topic of the transparency that we really need in our world of people understanding that, yes, us Christian folks, we do feel things deeply. We do have moments where our flesh rises up. Does anybody else want to chime in on that while we're talking on this subject? Because that's a needed one, I think. Man, no hands.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's really good. I think it's something that thankfully, we had a lot of people close to us that were really displaying that the whole time we were in ministry school, like leaders like Callie or Christine or in like Jordan DeMarco for Gable. So even like Christine's new album, like if you hear the lyrics and you see what she's talking about, exactly this, like there is pain, you know, there's things that we go through, there's tragedy in everyday life, but it's how we engage it with what the Lord gives us, like is how we engage it and how we meet people there in their suffering, you know, and how we're honest with ourselves. You know, mental health is the thing also I think is so important that has been growing in the last few years in Christianity. Like, actually take care of yourselves. Like, how many pastors do we see that have big issues because they don't take care of their mental health? So
because somebody said, "Suck it up, kid. This is ministry." Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Right. Yeah. So I think it's something really important that we're all really passionate about. That I think was modeled by really amazing leaders in our own personal lives.
Powerful.
Kind of just absorbed it while being there.
Yeah, and that leads me into the song that I definitely wanted a comment on, and I know, Gable, this one's very personal for you, is 50 milligrams, because of the same thing that we were just talking about. Just tell us a little bit about the story of that, and I know that comes back to ministry school as well, and give us some insight on 50 milligrams.
Yeah, no, I think with 50 milligrams, I mean, that was a big part of my journey during that first year. You know, I mean, every ounce of safety felt like it was taken away from me when I moved out to Reading. You know, I had previously lived in my parents' house. I had, and then I was living in a van in a driveway.
Yeah.
And I had always been a musician, and then I didn't get to do any music. And I panic attacks, anxiety attacks pretty constantly. I'd say at least like once a week, I'd be holding the pillow over my head while I'm trying to go to bed. Like, just stop, you know?
Wow.
And so what I quickly realized, so I ended up, I don't know, you can cut this if you want to, but I ended up going on an antidepressant medication or anti-anxiety in that first year, just because it was a lot, and I was getting pretty chaotic in the sense of, there was one time where I would just kind of disappear if I was in a group of people, and something set me off, or I started feeling anxiety. I would just take my longboard and ride for miles and stuff like that. And I'm like, on the river trail where there's mountain lions, probably not a good idea, and stuff like that. And so, and that was not smart. So I kind of went on those just to kind of try to even things out. And I quickly learned that every time I would feel like have something that I was terrified of, as soon as I would stop feeling fear about that one thing, it would be because I pushed it out with another thing. And that would be the thing I'd obsess over every night when I'm laying in bed. You know, for example, I'm like, my van that I live in is going to get broken into, and I'm, you know, blah, 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 this stuff, you know, move that out of the way. I have to go to college after this because I have to figure out what I'm going to do with my life, and I'm never going to get to do what I want to do. And then you move that out, and it's like, what do I do after this year? It's all these things.
Of
and
course.
So I literally felt like, and then it was probably around New Year's that I was home and I was making my New Year's resolutions for the next year. And I'm like, I feel like I'm literally trying to come up with things that I've never thought about just so I can beat them. So I can feel accomplished of, you know, like I'm coming up with these things like learn how to build a table. I'm like, I've never wanted to build a table, but I want to now because I'll feel accomplished. And so I started thinking, I'm like, man, this is a lot like my mental state right now, where I feel like every time I feel over something that I'm terrified of, I will then basically formulate something new to take the place of that thing. To be my new point of anxiety, to be my new point of feeling terrified, you know? And so it kind of became an addicting thing for me. Not the antidepressants, but being afraid of, you know, of having something to obsess over. And so 50 milligrams, it was a very dark time. The song was written very dark. Like it sounded, you know, a lot sadder than, but it just, you know, it was just a wild time. That's kind of 50 milligrams.
Well, here's my thought though. Okay, so you're at this massive ministry healing school, and you have to reconcile. I'm taking these pills, and what does that mean about my faith? So there's people that have those questions a lot. So for you, what was the turning point for you when you were able to turn off all that extra stuff and just step into what God was calling you to, even amongst all these people in ministry school?
I mean, at first it was a little weird. I mean, especially just because I was 19. And so a lot of the people I was hanging around were also close to that age. And I feel like at a certain age, you know, I mean, I'm only a few years older now, but just thinking like, if someone's going through something, I'm like, man, do what you got to do, you know? But back then it was like very confusing to a couple people in my life before I went on them. But I went home for Christmas break and things were really bad. And it was kind of my mom sat me down. My mom has done a wonderful job since I moved out of the house of being like, hey, you live your life. And if you need advice, let me know.
Right.
And we talk a ton, but she's never intrusive with advice. But she was finally like, Gable, it's really hard to hear how much you're going through this. Can we take you to a counselor, take you to a doctor, and try to figure out what's going on? And so I did that, and I was lucky enough to have been home when all that happened, away from a lot of the voices telling me what I should do, to where I could just be with family in a really safe place. And they could walk me through how to get well. And so by the time I was back in Reading and, you know, people knew that it was going on, it was already a regular thing. And the withdrawals would be much more heavy than the effect of the initial thing if I was to just cut it off. And so I wasn't on it for long, probably 2 months. And it slowly eased myself out and barely got a migraine from it.
Well, man, we're not cutting anything. I do stuff, and we just do what the Lord does with it. So the transparency there is definitely great, and I think people need that. So there's another song that I want to definitely point out, and then if there's any that you guys in particular want to point out, we'll do that. But I like Demons, and I will thank you for getting it stuck in my head. That line, the line, don't win games in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Anytime right now, especially while we're promoting at Victory, the show where you guys are coming to us in April.
Can't wait.
I'm excited about that. But this song, I love it, and we play it to make sure people know who you are. But that line is stuck in my head quite often. So thank you for that, and tell me a little bit about this song, man, because it's great, even outside of the line that gets stuck in my head.
Yeah, I mean, that one was early. That was like the middle stages of writing Fraction Heart, and it was one of our more outside the boxes, one of the outside the box songs. And I had a chorus, and it was a little bit different than that. It was like how'd it go? It was like was like, oh gosh, okay, and I won't remember it, but it was much different. And I took it to my friend Mike Maines, who I always really, really admired. Amazing songwriter,
Yeah.
huge in my musical journey. And so we start writing it together. And he's like, yeah, I really think that we should write this verse more conversational. And I'd never written conversational. Everything is, you are the empire. It's never about me. Like those songs, like, and if it is, it's about me and God. And I'm like, and so with that song, it was like one of the first ones that like talk about what you're like, what's one of your demons? What are the things that you can't kill that you're letting have residence in your life?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, I feel very lethargic and helpless in the mornings, like to get out of bed. I was working at 4:45 that whole year. So I know your radio life.
Yeah.
I would work from 4:45 to 10 at my sales job and then go to school for the whole day. And so it was just like, I would literally just sit there and be like, oh, this is so much effort to get out of bed. But so with that song, we start writing it and we're talking and we think from this pre-chorus, we had like a melody, which is how a lot of things will come. We'll be like, it could be cool if it da 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 da.
That's the part.
There you go.
Residence rent free right here.
Yeah, and so I had the lyric idea, and it was a little bit different. And Mike said, he was like, "What if we made it seem like it was like your dad sitting you down and just being like, hey, you can talk all you want about." You can talk all you want about, I mean, and that was my last year of school. So we were mentors for a lot of students. So what you'd constantly see is you'd see a lot of students be like, I want to get better at this thing. And it's like, well, you're not going to get better at that thing by just saying you're going to get better at that thing. Or I need to get this thing out of my life. And it's like, okay, well, it's not going to happen. If I think of like being a kid, my dad's in the car with me at the sports game. And I'm like, say we're in the car in the parking lot. I'm like, I'm going to do this to this player. I'm going to, shoot it from here as soon as I get the ball. And he's like, hey, you can talk as much as you want about how you're going to destroy these guys, but nothing's going to happen if you stay in the car here.
That's right.
It'd be more like if you're out there like, man, if I was to go in there, I'm not gonna, but if I was to go in there, I would do this. He's like, hey, you can talk all you want, but nothing's happening.
That's right.
Until you walk into that gym and just get the living daylights beat out of you.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what the lyric meant. And it still kind of hits home for a lot of things,
Absolutely. And the whole part about not making demons yours, we don't realize what we say sometimes when we're saying my back injury or my whatever hurts, the power of death and life in the tongue. And so that's what I get a lot out of that song. And speaking of the songs that people enjoy, Homecoming was such a big one for Gable and Dave. Homecoming, as we get ready to have this concert that we're going to have for Victory 91.5. It's April the 22nd. It's Friday night. It's at 7:00 and Dave is coming home. So talk about the excitement of coming home with the band and getting to do this concert, man.
Oh wow, great question. I mean, yeah, I'm stoked. My dad listens to Victory 91.5 all the time. I actually sent him a screenshot of this
What's up, Lauren?
happening, and I was like,
shout out.
So I love it. And I feel super stoked. And so I mean, I always love an excuse to come home and see my family and my friends, and so it's just funny. It just feels very full circle to be going to my hometown radio station, in a part of this band that wasn't even formed there. It was formed on the other side of the country. So
so you get to show them everything that is. Well, this one's going to be in Buford, but all the areas around.
Yeah, close enough. Yeah.
Well, we're definitely excited to host you guys, and looking forward to. When I talk about it in the mornings right now, what I talk about is the fellowship and the worship and the celebration, and so I know that's going to be part of the homecoming for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, amen. So one of the things I also wanted to talk about was I was perusing the website as I was getting ready for this, and I was looking at the merch. So I want to know who's Bad Boys Baseball Club? What is that about? There's a hat there. Somebody tell me what that is.
I mean, we kind of like, as a joke, we always kind of we're like the bad boys of
Bad Boys for life.
Like we said it early on, like we always said like we're the bad boys of K-Love, but we've never been played on K-Love. Like it's just like we always made the joke before like any radio station was like you're like Gable Price and Friends. You're like, isn't the gable like the corner of the roof of the house or something like that? And so like we always just made the joke like, yeah, we're the bad boys of this. And then finally, like we told this our designer guy that's been working with us a lot. He's actually a radio show host too, but in Perth. And he was like, you guys always make this joke about how you guys are the bad boys. What if I made some merch about it? I'm like, that's a great idea. Let's do it. And so he did it. And so it's so funny because the least bad boy people buy the bad boys baseball club stuff. It'd be like going into Chick-fil-A and they're wearing Metallica shirts. It's like, it's,
and saying my pleasure. Yes.
Yeah. They're like, it's just funny. It's just like I'll see people with the bad boys hat on, like some people, and I'm like, okay, sure, like that's great.
That's awesome,
but
man.
I'm also I'm an avid rule follower, and so for me to say like I'm a bad boy of something is kind of it's kind of like it's kind of funny because I'm like I really have never done anything remotely illegal.
This ministry school group of guys are the bad boys.
Yeah, we're the bad
club.
boys.
Yes. And then I noticed another piece of merch that's based on the Memphis Grizzlies logo. So who's a Grizzlies fan? What's happening there?
No one's a Grizzlies fan actually.
Oh, wow.
I think Ja Morant's incredible.
Oh,
that's
yes.
actually so that's actually the Vancouver.
Oh,
Grizzlies,
look, he's got it.
My
yeah.
friend Quincy.
They were, yes, I know. That's true.
And basically our
Dave.
designer,
he's got it. He's got the merch on. Yeah,
I know. I've got it. I think right here too. But our designer Dan was he loves basketball too, and he was like, "Hey, what if we did something like this? Because they're not a team anymore, you're not going to get sued." And I'm like, "That's great."
They still use the retro stuff. It's funny.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, we might get sued.
But it says Friends. Like, yeah, it says Friends on there. I like it. Gable Price and Friends in real big. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's funny. My buddy wore our hat to a Phoenix Suns game. And someone flipped him the bird because they thought it was a Memphis Grizzlies hat, and he's like it's a band, but it was funny.
That's great. Well, I was a sports broadcaster back in a former life, so this is fun stuff going through this. So okay, other guys that need to chime in. All right, what's your favorite piece of merch? I'm gonna call on Daniel. Daniel, what's your favorite piece of Gable Price and Friends merch?
I think the hoodie for sure. I love the traditional design in the back.
Oh, the one with the eagle on the back?
Yeah. That's the one.
Yeah, that's tight. I like that. All right, Cam, favorite merch if you're in here. Cam, hello. There he is.
I might have to say you with the hat. I mean, I've been wearing this like every day. It's kind of gross. There he is. But,
bro, yeah, he wears it every day for sure. That's all I say.
It's great. Yeah, because my hair is getting crazy right now. I don't own it personally, but it's the Only Cool in Reading t-shirt, and it's just really cool. I love the color on it, and I like how it just says Only Cool because like it still blows our minds that we are a thing outside of Redding, California. So so every time like I just see it around like or someone wearing it, I'm just like, wow, I guess it's not just Reading. So, but
that's good stuff.
So
Adam, it looks like we've got you back. Favorite piece of Gable Price and Friends merch?
Cam already said it. I like the Only Cool in Reading one.
Yeah,
I think it's good. Just I like how it's kind of like tongue in cheek a little bit. It's kind of like Reading's such a small town, and it's like if you're like famous in Reading, it's not really like a flex, So it's a little funny.
But when you wear it as merch, it's always a flex. Yeah.
Yeah,
and so
sure.
I'm seeing the my favorite right now is the lightning bolt one, only because it looks like Gable's the one sporting it on the website. So
yeah. Well, we need to get rid of those. So if anyone's on here, they're on super sale right now. It's along the Reading thing. It's like there's like this tower of this totem pole of like, how there's like famous, and then there's like You know how people are always like Christian famous isn't real famous, and then Reading famous isn't Christian famous. It's like there's like the levels of not real fame, you know, and Reading fame is at the top of not real fame, but everyone's like they're so popular. It's like really. You know?
We'll go back to who? Yeah.
Who? The corner of a house?
The corner of a house. Oh, I love that. All right. So, man, I just want to kind of open the floor here as we're kind of winding down. And I know you guys got plenty else to do today. And I want to say again, special thank you for coming on and talking to me, because this is part of Voice in the Kingdom, which is a podcast that I do. And then, of course, Victory 91.5, where we're going to be, you know, really promoting, getting everybody to come out to this celebration, this opportunity for fellowship with you guys in April. So let's run down the line. Hey, Cam, we'll start back with you. Cam, as we're finishing up here, man, what are your just maybe final thoughts of our time today, getting to talk and reminisce about what you guys are doing and what the Lord has you guys doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Earlier you said it seems like we do a lot of interviews, but we actually don't. At least for me personally, like some of the other guys, we don't do a lot of interviews as a band. It's like exciting just to see all of us together
cool.
and just like talk about our history together and our friendship together, and not just like stuff about the band, but just like personal lives and our time with the Lord. And it's kind of just cool. I mean, and being hosted by like such an awesome guy like Quincy, you have been awesome.
On.
So yeah, great questions too. And yeah, I don't think we'll ever get tired of just like meeting new people or talking with new people. So yeah, I'm super thankful, and I'm sure all the other guys are. So
well, this is good. All right, Daniel, you're the next one in my line here. So Daniel's up. Same kind of thing, man. Just the opportunity to come together and talk together. Like, I didn't realize you guys haven't done a band together interview. So this is cool that we get to come together and do this.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And I think that's what probably showcases what we are and what we try to do the most is like, we're just a group of friends doing music that we love and just trying to have fun, you know, and
it just happens to be that you all love Jesus very much.
Oh,
so.
Yeah, that's probably number one, and then everything else is right.
Yeah, that's good.
It's such a good time. Such a good time. Thank you for having me.
That's good. All right, Adam, come on, man. What else do you got to add here, buddy?
Man, I'm honored to be here. I feel terrible that I thought I was fine just with coffee shop Wi-Fi, and I was not. And I feel really bad. So I'm so sorry.
It worked. But see, when you were really needed, when Gable's computer crashed and you were able to comment like that, I mean, divine appointment that you were there and stable at that moment.
Dude, everything works out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm stoked to play the show. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to get rowdy. Maybe Gable will stage dive. Maybe I will stage dive. Maybe all of us will stage dive. Who knows?
Well, I'm looking forward to it just because, again, meeting you guys and doing this today has got me even more excited, but also just the fact that it's an in-person concert and we get to just worship together and fellowship together. I'm excited. All right. So Dave, Homecoming Dave, I know we can't borrow that because Marvel and Sony's already using it, but so talk again about just, you know, whatever you want to say about coming home or just being part of this whole experience, man.
Whatever I want to say, I can say anything.
Man, I'm
just kidding. Everyone got a little tense. No, no, I'm super excited. I'm super excited to be playing this. I just love playing live with these guys, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying. Of this is like this type of band, and I feel like, you know, obviously I'm maybe a little biased because I've gotten to be a part of it and stuff, but this type of band like just doesn't come around like that often. And so not only as a participant, but as a genuine fan of our music, I just feel like excited that, like you said, we get to play in person, and, you know, we'll be doing more this year and working on, you know, new music to release as well. And so I'm just proud to be numbered with these guys.
That's awesome. And let's talk real quick. The one thing I didn't even talk about, because most of the time when you do a band interview or somebody that's kind of quote unquote getting on the map, you talk about the band name, but it's Gable Price and Friends. I mean, where's the, you know, so what, how did you settle on staying on that name? Talk a little bit about that, I think. And did you consider coming up with something that would, you know, make people think, or, you know, any of those things like that when it comes to band names?
I mean, yeah, I think at first my initial idea was like, let's come up with a band name. And Gigi and the Boys.
I saw that.
My thought was, but when the project was started for me to move back to Cincinnati, which was my plan after my first year,
Right.
you know, we were like, hey, let's figure out something that can be universal to wherever I go, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then from when we decided that we were like a band, I think that it's funny looking back, but we were like, our first EP did way too good to change it. But like now looking back at like how well it's going now, it's like, man, we totally could have changed it if we wanted to. But no, I mean, we talked about it here and there, but you know, it was just kind of what it was. And there's a lot of people who have an and name, you know, Drew Holcomb in the Neighbors, Mike Maines in the Branches. I was trying to think of some more. I was trying to think of a funny one, but there's no funny
Bethel
one.
and Music.
Yeah. David and Funk.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so it's not a very creative band name, but
you make up for it, man. The lyrics are there, dude. Like,
thanks, man.
I love it. So people don't have to use their brain power on the name, so they can really dive deep into the lyrics. There's a good reason right there.
There we go. Thanks. I'll keep that one.
Hey, there's no copyright in the kingdom. You can have it. Well, man, I really appreciate you guys taking time out. We're going to have a great time April the 22nd, 7 p.m. in Buford, Georgia for Victory 91.5. We're going to be kicking off the Victory Partner Days with that event and just going to have a great time in the Lord. So thank you guys so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks,
Yeah.
Quincy. Excited to meet you in person.
All right. Yeah, man, I'm excited too. And so for everybody that's watching this at a later date, you missed it. Sorry. But if you watch it between now and April the 22nd, 2022, you can come on out and join us in Buford, Georgia. Go to victory.radio. That's where you can get your tickets. And go to the Gable Price and Friends website. Check out that merch and check out these guys and their tour dates. They're going, I think you guys are going to be at Liberty University right after us, right?
We are, yeah.
Yeah.
We are.
So that's exciting. There's a whole lot of kids there.
For sure.
That's a big old school. All right. Well, hey, thank you guys. We're going to get off of here for today. This has been a production of Voice in the Kingdom Ministries, and it has been for Victory 91.5. And we want to say a special thank you to Gable Price and Friends for taking time out to be on with us. Guys, it has been a blast.
Quincy, good to see you, man. We're excited to see y'all.
Bye. See you, man.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, Quincy.
See ya.
All right.